Now, when you ask, what does Socrates do? Well, you need to understand what it takes to become a Socrates. Socrates is a man who lives in a cave, like the salmon fish. What do fish see? They see in the ocean. They see other fish. They see rocks. They see algae. They see sharks. They have friends. They have enemies. Sometimes they feel at home. Sometimes they feel out of place. But it's a world that they know well. It gives them meaning. What happens when all of a sudden a salmon fish feels homeless, that this is not their home? What happens to their friends? Well, they begin to vanish. It begins to not hang out with them as much. Is he going to feel lonely? Absolutely. Is he going to live in conflict? Definitely. Is he going to self-hate? Absolutely. Is he going to be confused? Yeah, because he doesn't know what's happening to him. But because there are otherwise salmon fish around him, he remains protected. So what happens to his confusion? They tell him why he's confused. His self-hatred, they tell him why he hates himself. And all of a sudden, these emotions that have the power to make you profoundly lonely, all of a sudden become a source of inspiration, you see. And by the time you leave the ocean, you've already lost so much. You don't care for friends. You lost them a long time ago. You don't care for the ocean. You no longer had any interest. So when you reach the top, the moment you began to realize that the ocean is no good, that the friends in the ocean is no good, that the things in the ocean is no good, you realize that you can no longer live by ocean alone. You wanted something else. Before you become a Socrates, in other words, before you're touched by God and eventually become a philosopher like Socrates, you become dead to assumptions, to opinions. So if you want to know how Socrates did all of this, and how he went home alone and he was able to be alone, it's because the moment you begin your journey towards becoming a philosopher, your journey begins in being alone. But it's not a comfortable aloneness. After a while, your skin grows thicker and you become more and more comfortable walking the philosophical, or the spiritual, or the esoteric path all alone, knowing that there is no one who can understand you, there is nothing you can do to make people understand you, and eventually you will learn. How? You will either be like some of those Greek monks who live in caves. They talk to no one, they never go to the city, they never ask for food, and they just have a basket, down from the mountains, and once in a while you have a couple of people putting a bottle of wine or a loaf of bread or cheese in the basket. They pull it up at the end of the night, and they have some food they eat, but they never talk to anyone. They have no reason to. Then you have other people who say, maybe I can express my loneliness in a couple lines of poetry. And there's a good amount of wisdom if you can understand those lines well. But you need to understand what the hell it is you're writing about. Not just because you have these ridiculous infantile feelings and moments of inspiration that give birth to 5 pages of a good essay or I don't know, 5 or 6 lines of poetry. Good for you that you can do that, but it doesn't mean anything. It's kind of like saying, I know Kung Fu. And then when the fight begins, you get your ass kicked. And you have to kind of consider a little bit as well, because when Socrates was given this poison to drink, hemlock, upon his death, he didn't say, oh, honey, sorry for not being a great husband. He had ceased to be a husband. Even before he got married, Socrates had, long ago, had lost the ability to feel these things, to be interested in those things.